Hello, creatures and cryptids. It is your favorite pink plague nurse, Nymphy. We are back on that MKUltra grind. I sincerely apologize for not posting last week. As you could hear from that video, I broke my voice somehow. I guess I was still like a little bit sick from the time that I got sick before, and there's a lot of screaming going on in Ohio. Not torture screaming, like concert screaming. And I know it's pretty shocking that stuff actually goes on in Ohio. I mean, before a couple weeks ago, I was convinced Ohio wasn't real. I was doing just absolutely horrible with my voice. Like, I felt fine. You know, I wasn't sick or anything. My voice was just, I sounded like a 12-year-old boy going through puberty, you know? So, it was painful to hear. And I wouldn't subject you guys to more than a few seconds of that. Anyways, remember how I said that all the stuff that we covered in the last video was everything that we had on MKUltra? Well, I was wrong. In 2018, the Black Vault, a website dedicated to archiving government documents, managed to get over 4,000 pages of reports released to the public, so good on them. Today, I will be reading the ones that interested me the most and giving my opinion on it. So strap in, folks. We're going for a ride. Now, before we start, I just want to say sorry if you see this iPad right here. All of the documents, I have all of them lined up here because it's kind of hard to read the typing on them. You know, like the printer press paper, the old-fashioned copied paper. It's not very easy to read. So if you see me like looking down or anything, sorry about that. I am just trying to read to you the information that I compiled here. That's also the reason for like the weird light right here. But you know what, we can just like pretend we're telling scary stories at a sleepover. How about that? Now, we can't start deep diving on MKUltra without knowing what it is. A lot of you probably already watched my video before, so you know what it is. But for those who don't, I will let the CIA themselves tell you. This was written on the 5th of March, 1973, Memorandum for Redacted, and the subject is Redacted Mind/Behavior Control. Let's hold this closer. Why do they have to write in such tiny print? Gosh. The purpose of this memorandum is to succinctly succinctly outline the various techniques that fall under the rubric of mind or behavior control, paragraph 2, and to indicate which projects Redacted has supported, is currently supporting, or is considering for support that may be misconstrued as having the control of others as the primary goal, paragraph 3. I wonder why on earth anyone would ever think that that's your goal. The term mind control or behavior control can be interpreted in context of controlling others or controlling self. The question of ethics is likely to arise if the former interpretation is used. Whatever interpretation is used, the techniques are not as efficacious. Why they gotta use all these words? Are not as efficacious or finely tuned as the popular media leads one to believe. Lastly, one should bear in mind that most of the techniques are still experimental in nature and have as a primary goal the understanding of brain behavior relations, which in turn may lead to control in the sense of therapeutic intervention or patient management. Sure. Yeah, let's go with that. The following techniques are generally considered under controlled tosomology. A. Psychosurgery, direct intervention into the neurological pathways that mediate or control behavior. The procedure may be non-reversible, surgical extirpation, or reversible, electrical stimulation. This approach has received a great deal of publicity recently in context of the surgery being performed to control aggressive behavior. They're just lobotomizing just everyone, I guess. B. Psychopharmacology. Behavioral control is achieved by altering the brain chemistry. Tranquilizers and energizers are the two most common classes. This technique is widely used in clinical medicine. The technique is for the most part safe and effective, but does not really afford fine control. The motion of a peace pill, truth pill, or smart pill is still in the wish stage. That means they have no clue how to make that. Come on, the wish stage. Yes, and I wish this could happen. 3. Past, present, or planned redacted projects by category as in paragraph 2, which may be misconstrued as a CIA program in mind or behavior control. Behavior modification. This term refers to alterations in behavior that are achieved by using conditioning techniques, usually variations on operant or performance conditioning. The behavior being altered or controlled can be either external behavior or internal. Is it an N or an E? Auto something or central nervous system responses. The conditioning or control of the internal response, biofeedback, particularly those of the central nervous system, e.g. alpha waves, have received raunch publicity as mind control with fantastic claims for its utility. While there is no doubt that the psychological responses are indeed controllable within limits, there is no good evidence that the desired behavior concomitants are automatically Okay, we're going to skip over some boring stuff to special techniques. Number 1, hypnosis and self-hypnosis. Autogenesis. This is a real but very poorly understood phenomenon. Contrary to popular belief, hypnosis is effective only within very cooperative and suggestible subjects, which actually something I will read later is seemingly untrue. There will be something that really counteracts this claim. So they need to pick one. Much is dependent upon the belief systems of the subject, particularly in self-hypnosis. Except with rare subjects, the technique does not appear uniformly reliable. Of late, hypnosis and biofeedback are being tied together, apparently on the simple premise that 2 is better than 1. There is no good evidence for or against this linkage. Number 2, ESP. Interest in this area is on the upwing again, in large part due to current popularity in lay literature of biofeedback technology. The basic premise appears to be that all individuals, or most, have ESP as a latent capability. So they're experimenting with a couple things that they claim isn't mind control. It's all semantics at this point. Like, essentially all of that was them admitting to a lot of stuff while simultaneously saying, no, we don't do mind control. But, like, of course they don't. I mean, everyone knows it's not real. Everyone knows that's not real. Yeah, so this next document here is a few excerpts from a 114-page document detailing their experiments on controlling dogs remotely. And no, I don't mean the robot Zoomer dogs. Does anyone remember those? I had the snow leopard one and I thought it was so cool. Anyways, the dogs they were controlling were real, living, breathing animals, and they very much succeeded in what efforts they did. Kind of. You know how they were doing it? They were using a form of, you guessed it, mind control. I sound like a total whack job right now, don't I? But it's true. I'll pull up a couple of the reports here. Final report. 1. The aims of our work over the past 3 years were specific with respect to some research problems and general with respects to others. A. Specific. Since 1954, it has been known that the electrical stimulation of certain deep-lying structures in the brain could serve as an instrumental reinforcer, i.e., a reward in the sense that an organism would perform some specific behavior which produced or was followed by such stimulation. It was known, further, that the effect could be obtained in several species of laboratory animals: rat, cat, monkey, guinea pig. Research work centered on determining specific loci and systems in the brain which produce reward effects upon stimulation, determining interactions among systems, particularly those maintaining reward and escape behaviors, developing an integrated conceptual account of many findings on rewarding electrical stimulation of the brain. It is not difficult to conceive of some practical applications of reinforcing brain stimulation. The work undertaken in these laboratories was concerned with the exploration and development of one such application, i.e., the control of open field behavior by rewarding brain stimulation triggered from a point remote from the behaving organisms. The experimental animal chosen for this work was the dog, and the choices dictated some of the specific problems investigated during the course of our work. 1. A stereotaxic atlas of the dog brain was available, redacted, and an electrode placement providing reliable reward effects upon stimulation had to be located. 2. A small portable stimulator which could be attached to a dog harness and connected to its electrodes was needed. The stimulator had to be reliable and capable of sufficient voltage output to be usable in the face of expected impedance variation across individual dogs. The precise method of controlling open field behavior had to be determined. The control of free field behavior may be conceptualized in general as moving the dog from one arbitrary point in the field to any other arbitrary point. There are potentially a number of procedures whereby this might be accomplished, ranging from stimulus control or discrete movements to homing on a beam. I don't know what that means. So basically what they're saying here is they want to hook up remotes to dogs so they can make them walk where they want them to instead of, doing the obvious thing and just training them, But, why do it the easy way when you can do it the hard way? Subsidiary to the specific aims of this contract research, we undertook to explore some general questions regarding the nature of rewarding electrical stimulation of the brain. Much of this research was performed with the albino rat as an experimental subject. Great. 1. There have been suggestions in the research literature that brain stimulation as a reinforcer may have properties different from conventional reinforcers such as food and water. We undertook to explore this question with particular emphasis on the ability of rewarding brain stimulation to maintain in strength performance of an order of complexity equal to those maintained by conventional reinforcers. A satisfactory solution to the problem had relevance to the field of work with the dog. 2. Experiments reported in the literature which deal with comparisons between rewarding brain stimulation and the conventional reinforcers are, in our opinion, unsatisfactory in that the baseline performances for the two reinforcers have not been equated. We undertook to develop an experimental procedure which would permit not only the equations or the performances maintained by the two reinforcers, but also permit an inequality defined and controlled by an X-parameter. Okay. And then they talk about the facilities, which I'm sure you don't really care about. It was basically just a box. They put the dogs in a really big box. Do you want to hear about the really big box? I mean, it was like a really big Skinner box, if you know what that is, with like the little switch in it. Anyway. Let's look at some histological sections showing typical electrode placements producing reward effects in the dog. I did not just read that off of the paper at all. What are you talking about? So if you look here, if any neuroscientist can tell me what's going on here, I don't know, but it's like some brain scans. I don't know, I thought maybe someone would find this interesting. So basically what went on is they had a transmitter hooked up to the dog, and through some electrode process, I don't know, I'm not a scientist, they would make the dog go forward by sending it electrical signals. And when the dog reached a point where they wanted it to stop, it would just stop and turn in circles until its nose faced the direction they wanted to go, and then they would zap it again and it would know to go that way. So, I mean, they kind of did what they wanted to do, right? I mean, yeah, they couldn't be that far away from the dog because of the signal thing, like Wi-Fi signal or whatever. And yeah, it's dogs, not people, but, it was a start, I guess. I'm sure they probably did try it on people at one point, who knows? I mean, hey, there are no documents for that, but that's probably because they burned it all. Do I sound dead inside? I feel dead inside. Anyways, here's some pictures of the facilities and something that kind of looks like a dog. I don't know. These are like really bad photocopy pictures. Yeah, nothing very interesting in these pictures unless you see something that I don't. But to be fair, I don't see much because it's badly printed from like the 50s. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, if it was all the way back in the 50s, they probably... 70s. Wait, no. You would think that they'd have better printing presses in the 70s, but since they're the CIA and everything, but... listen, I'm tired. This took a lot out of me. I know a lot of things now that I probably don't need to. And I have lost what little faith in the CIA that I had left. Which wasn't much. Yeah, there's a lot more to go through. But I'm, like I said, tired. I am so tired. If you want to look through all 4,000 some pages, go right ahead. The link is, as always, down below. But for now, sorry if this video is short. I don't know how long it is going to be when I cut it all down, but I feel like I've been filming forever. So remember to drink water, because I sure as hell won't. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
I bite at the hand that feeds me, slap at the face that eats me. Some kind of animal cannibal.